Seems to be recording.
Good morning and welcome to the New Hampshire State Archives. The New Hampshire State Archives was first created in 1963. Prior to that, the records of the state of New Hampshire came from just about everywhere. They were stored all over the state of New Hampshire. So since 1963, we have been beginning to consolidate historically significant records. The archives is a little different than a library. In an archives, we deal with documents, often individual documents, but usually collections of documents, rather than published books. So just about everything that we deal with here is unique. There isn't another copy, or there are very few copies, and they are handmade or whatever. So we deal with things in a little different manner. You can't go to a card catalog and say, tell me everything that you have on the population of the town of Plymouth. And boom, there's all of the books listed. We have an entirely different method of it. What we have are lists of collections. So this might be personal papers of somebody, or these might be survey records of somebody. And you have to sort of be able to say, might that somebody's collection be able to tie into what I'm doing? So that's one of the things that we have. A lot of people find that an obstacle to working with an archives. But if you work with the archivist, often the archivist can tell you ways to get into the different collections. We typically do not index every single document. What we do is we have a finding aid for each collection. So for example, the State of New Hampshire Archives here has something between 300 and 400 different collections. For me to index the 12 million documents that we probably have in those collections is asking a great deal, particularly where we have a staff of 5 people. So what we do have are, right now, we've got a list of probably most of the collections. Within that, several of them have finding aids that tell you how to use it. You may have needs that tap into some of those others that don't have finding aids. And that's where working with me as the archivist is going to do you some good, probably.
Brian, so if I can ask a question here.
Yes, you may.
In accessing these primary source documents and that are here, I mean,
yes.
they're actually here in this building. Generally speaking, a teacher would come in during hours.
During hours.
And what would those hours be?
The hours are 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday.
Cool. And then up at that desk behind you, there would be people to approach and say, this is what I want.
Correct.
Okay.
That is just right.
Do they also know things that would be perhaps tangentially related to a request? A teacher might have, I want this, but they might know, they really want that.
And that is a part of what we do here in this research room, is we try to find other things that might put the question in context and provide additional background to help them understand better what it is that they're looking for, and what it is we might have that might add to it. Yes.
Good. So 8 to 4:30.
8 to 4:30.
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
Excellent.
Well, it's not excellent for teachers because that's prime teaching time as well, but we will try to work with that. I wish that we could open on Saturdays, but it's just not.
Well, actually, you do sometimes, right? Like you're here today,
this is
Saturday.
a special occasion.
Yes,
and we will have a special occasion as often as we can for teachers to come in.
Nice. So, like maybe next summer, another.
That's what we're hoping.
Day. Great.
That would be great.
All right.
We do have rules here in an archives. We do find that eating and drinking and ancient documents don't mix well. So we do ask that all food be kept out of this room and away from the records. In addition, if you would like, you may wear gloves. There is a discussion amongst archivists In general, in the United States, archivists tend to say you don't need to wear gloves when you're dealing with old records. What we would ask is that you wash your hands beforehand and wash your hands afterwards, just to clean off any oils initially and to eliminate any mold or whatever that you may be picking up as you deal with these records. So it's up to you as to whether you do or not. I've got a pair of gloves for each of you if you want them. I also have with me a book, if you are interested. It happens to talk about map literacy in America, in early America. And the thesis is that part of what identifies America is our knowledge of the geography, of the space, and it helps define our understanding of being an American. So that just might be something that you might be interested if you're interested in the history of geospatial knowledge in the U.S. I also have a few items put out here, handouts that you're welcome to take, having to do with blister rust mounds, which is one of the collections that we have and that I think will be of interest to you. What I thought I would try to do is I would try to give you a tour of the building. This will be a little difficult to tape, but you could try if you'd like. But just so that you can sort of see the back room where nobody else gets to go. Typically, you wouldn't be going there as a part of the public, but I think you would find it a little interesting to see how we keep the records. Then I thought what I would do is I'd come back and introduce some of these records and then give you some time personally, individually, to explore some of these things and see what they might do for you personally and in your classrooms. So that's sort of how I thought I would set this up. One thing that I would like very much is if you have a question or an insight that you'd like to share, please do so. Personally, I'm not real big on listening to myself.